Hi, I'm Graham Elkin. I'm from London, England, and I'm here to explain about a site that we just launched called grahamelkin.com and what it's all about and how it works and why. I was around about 13 when I discovered something of an ability. I wasn't sure what it was at the time, and over a period of years, once the fear had gone, I guess fear holds a lot of people back. It's turned into what it has today. It was a little bit difficult to deal with, as there seemed nobody around to actually tell about this kind of thing. Obviously, people are sceptical. That's fair enough. There's plenty of skeptics about, but it was, not say looked down on, but I think people were very wary of it, and so I kept it fairly secret. And nowadays, people are a little bit more open to it. People are sort of waking up to this, and they have been for some time. I think more so in America, but the rest of the world seems to be catching on to it. But I think the biggest development and changes have taken place in the last 3 years. In particular, the healing. It seemed to come from nowhere. It's obvious it's always been there, and it's developed very, very quickly. Looking back, as I was kind of, I guess, developing this ability, as I said, without any coaching or help, which would have been useful, I realised that I could get all the questions that were asked answered, and probably not in the best, in an awkward way maybe. And I think when I was 16, there was a particular read or an occurrence with some people that I knew, but they didn't know me very well. And what happened was, it kind of changed things for them. And then I realised that you could actually use this for something, because most of the time what I used it for was to prove skeptics wrong. If I did broach the subject and talk to somebody, I got, lots of different things said to me, and then it made me kind of prove it, which I did. But it seemed a bit of a wasted effort just to have it for that reason. And maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started to do some live work, interacting with people. I used to get a group of people at a time, and mostly it would start that I would tell them things that they obviously already knew, just to kind of be on that wavelength of proving it again. And then they were quite shocked mostly, and then once you got the confidence, or their confidence, then you could move forward and make some use of it, because telling somebody what happened to them yesterday, last week, last year, well, it may be clever, but it doesn't help, does it? And so it's about what happens today, tomorrow, and next year. As I said, mostly I was dealing with sceptical people. I couldn't sort of put this out there. I didn't even know how. The only things that were around at the time were, the odd thing was on TV or a fortune teller or something. I think people had images of people with a crystal ball in a tent, wearing something around the head and crossing the palm with silver. So that's about where it was. So when I talked about it, you can imagine the kind of responses I got. But this one occasion, I was 16 and I was just starting to work for somebody, and they were quite a bit older than me. And we used to talk about things because there was just us two there. So I got talking about this subject, which was obviously on my mind at the time. And I was in and out the place we were working all day and just saying bits, and it went on and off all day for about 8 hours. And as we were cleaning the tools at the end of the day, this guy turned around to me and he said, "That stuff you told me today?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You believe in all that?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You know what, mate?" He said, "You're a complete nutcase. You're a lunatic." And I was a bit shocked, and I thought he was taking interest, And so I was a bit, I thought, well. And then he said, "Do you mean to tell me?" He said, "If I come round tonight, pick you up from your house, you come round mine," he said, "you can do all that." And I said, yeah, I can. And anyway, he came round and picked me up. So I went round to his house. I'd never met his wife before, and I sat down and I started doing what I do. And he was, to say blown away, well, he couldn't take it in. And this is what used to happen with skeptics. They always try and find and look at it not as a trick, but they just can't understand why you can do it and how you can do it. And so this went on for some time. But anyway, he got very, very into it, let's say. And he hadn't told me what was going on in his life, but there was another couple that were, they were friends, and they were kind of local. They only lived in a small village. And basically, they used to go out at weekends together, and there was obviously a little bit more on one side of it. So anyway, this one time, I'll probably better not say the names, but the two couples' names came out, and basically said that they were going to divorce. They were all going to divorce each other, and they were going to marry each other, which, you know, you can imagine, can't you? It's a bit out there. And within a few months, they basically, one moved out of one place and into the other, and they did actually marry each other, divorce and marry each other, which kind of was, when you look back, or when I look back, I think, okay, that was a big one, you know, or it seemed to be, and life changed. It wasn't what I did that did that, but to actually pick that up, and it obviously caused a few problems, but that was going to happen anyway. So that's one that kind of stood out. But I used to sometimes, you know, the people talk about the lottery, and I think 6 numbers is 14 million to 1. So what I would do, it's not a trick, but I would say to somebody, write down 6 numbers and put it in an envelope, put it in your pocket, do what you like with it. And then when they came back, or, you know, I'd tell them what the 6 numbers were. And they always said the same thing, do it again. So 14 million times 14 million, whatever that is. And they just look at you going out. And how did you do it? And then later on, as like people had phones, somebody got a text, for instance, one time, and I told them where the text was from. Just things like that. And people, they kind of get shocked. And then something that they don't want people to know, when that comes out, you know, it can be kind of funny, and you do get a reaction from it. And so this went on, I guess, in this direction. And sometimes, I have to say, sometimes I kind of like doing it. I won't say to try and be clever, but, you know, it's kind of, you get something from it that way, or I seem to. And then maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was doing something one night, and there was this girl that kind of worked in the same, well, it was a bar that I used to own, and she never seemed that happy, and it was just me and her there, and then a lot of things came out, and I think I got her auntie through or something like that, and kind of got asked to help her. And basically, she was in depression, and, you know, I knew there was something. And then she'd been in depression before, and she was very open, and she started to open up about it. So anyway, I did something. And the next day, when the bar was open again, everybody knew this person, and they were saying, well, look at her, you know, what's wrong? You know, not what's wrong with her, but like, why she, you know, she was smiling and dancing around behind the bar and messing around with it. And I looked, and I thought, I kind of did put 2 and 2 together, but, you know, and I spoke to her, and I said, you okay? She said, oh, yeah, you know, and she came. So obviously that stood out to me, and I thought, wow, okay. And then from there, I guess I realised that it's for helping people, obviously, but I didn't realise until that point, I guess. And from then until now, it's been going that direction, and I think in the last 2 years, I've probably helped around about 10,000 people. I've got lots of reviews and testimonials, and a few thousand actually, of what's happened. It still keeps developing and seems to get better, and I can actually do this on a bigger scale than 1-to-1, which is what I want to do. There are various ways that this help can be given out, but the easiest one, and the one I do the most, is by sound, and that's what's actually on the downloads, and it's a frequency. It's a very unusual sound. I create the sound. Somehow I know how to create it. It's when people hear it for the first time, they're a little bit surprised by it, and they wonder how it's being made, but, you know, that's just what I do. And there are a lot of reports and feedback of hearing voices and being given images during this process. An average length of time to do a healing would be around about 10 minutes. And if it's, let's say, stress, or when everybody gets anxious and they suffer from stress, by the time it's finished, by the time the sound's finished, the stress and anxiety's gone. That is the fastest one that I do. Pain relief is around about the same. It's certainly within minutes of being done, but there doesn't seem to be any limit as to what can be healed this way. I don't seem to have been asked about a particular healing that can't be done that way. I can do things close up, hands on. I don't always get the opportunity to do it, but this way, wherever anybody is in the world, they can actually get this healing. So it's my preferred way right now is to do this. And as I said, it's very, very quick, very effective. People don't have to do anything. They don't even have to believe in it. An open mind, yes. I mean, if somebody's going to close themselves up to it, well, I'm not sure, but people don't ask for it then. So if somebody says, yes, I want to get past this, I don't want to suffer this, then they'll ask for it. And as long as they do, then that's fine. But nobody has to, it's not faith that does this. It's just an open mind, and the frequency will take care of whatever the issue is.